My name is Ever Dickson, and I'm here with Kenneth Queen, retired Navy Chief and Senior Program Manager.
Thank you.
I've got a few questions for you today. Starting with, why did you join the Navy?
Okay, that's a good question. It was in the 90s, and I was trying to go to college. I actually was a student here. I was working full-time with the Department of Transportation, and I had just got accepted into the civil engineering program at UNC Charlotte. So I was taking a class here, running down there, taking a class, trying to work full-time, and I couldn't figure out how to make it work. And so I had to make a choice. The choice was either borrow a bunch of money, go full-time to UNC Charlotte and have a bunch of student debt, or the option was go in the Navy and try to pay for college as I went, maybe take a little longer. And that was ultimately what I decided to do. I didn't want to build up a whole bunch of debt. And what really was that defining moment for me, making me want to go in, was September 11th happened, and it was just a trigger, like, all right, so now's the time to go. And that was really the trigger. And I shipped out. I spent the anniversary of September 11th in the Navy, so the first anniversary.
All right. Well, second question, what did you do in the Navy? What was your job?
Okay, so I wanted to do something that I could translate when I got out. So I went into the electronics field, which was, I was a fire controlman. So it makes it sound like a firefighter. That's not what it is. Think more like control or work on fire control systems, things that shoot, right? So I went in and originally was a spy technician, which is the radar for the ballistic missile defense system that the Navy uses. And then I ended up actually getting the networking technician certifications as well. So I did 2 of the 3 NECs, which is a Navy enlisted code, in that section. And I did that for several years, and then I put chief on right about my 9-year mark. And as a chief, I would manage those programs. So I would be on a ship, and all the technicians and all the operators and everyone would work for me, and I'd be responsible for all the equipment and making sure it was all up, and then briefing the people that need to be briefed, things like that. And then I also did visit board search and seizure, which means drug ops would go into the Caribbean looking for drugs, or we'd go over to the Middle East or wherever looking for a terrorist. We would board their ships and take into custody people that were on the FBI's wanted list, or confiscate drugs or whatever needed to be done.
That's really cool. Okay, third question. Coming from a humble background, what was it like seeing the world, going all over the place,
I think it's awesome. So I've been to 49 different countries. And I mean, I don't know, it's amazing. So it's hard to say, because I know I have friends of mine that travel, and they travel first class, and they've got great jobs and make a lot of money, and they travel, and that's great. And when you go to Paris or somewhere and you see things from that perspective, it is neat. But when you travel and you're in the Navy and there's 2 or 3 people, and you're out here and you're mingling with the people, and you're going to local diners, you're going to stuff that's not that first class travel, you really get to know the people and you get to know the culture. And I think it made me a better person. So for me, growing up in Rutherford County, and I mean, I did move away some, wasn't here the whole time, but for the most part, it was like Rutherford County. You don't get exposure to different races. You don't get exposure to different cultures. And with the Navy allowed me, and traveling allowed me, that my little Rutherford County life wasn't the only way to live life. And it may not even be the best way to live life, right? So it allowed me to incorporate all that stuff in. And I think it made me a better person, made me a better parent, made me a better employee, right? Because I learned these different avenues and different ways to do life. So to me, it was the greatest experience. And the reason I wouldn't take anything for the Navy was to travel. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Fourth question. What's your favorite place the Navy took you? What's your favorite country you've went to?
So that's a difficult question, because different places offer different experiences, and so I like some things about others, and some things I you know what I mean? Like, there's little things about some stuff that I just love. Like Hong Kong, right after and right before it was taken over back by the Chinese, it was still British. It was the greatest place on earth. You had this Eastern Western culture slammed together, and it was just this great place. But it's not quite the same anymore. But if I had to dare down to one place, Brisbane, Australia is probably my favorite place on the planet. I think I was born on the wrong continent sometimes, right? So I love Brisbane, Australia.
Brisbane, Australia, nice. Okay, broad question. What's the coolest thing you've done in the Navy, you'd say?
So that's a tricky one. Let me think on that for how to put that there. I've done a lot of cool stuff. Got to see a lot of cool places. But one of the probably one of the saddest things, but one of the most things I'm proud of, I would say, was we responded to the Haiti after the earthquake, and we pulled bodies out of the water and helped identify them and get them back to the families. And it's not probably the most glamorous thing, but it was one I felt like I was doing something more important. You know, it ain't always about blowing stuff up. Sometimes it's about trying to help people. So to me, that was one of my greatest experiences, I think.
I heard you ran for Congress in 2018.
I did.
Tell me about that experience.
So, like a lot of Americans, I was angry with what was going on. I had just retired from the Navy. I felt like things were going in the wrong direction. We just elected Trump, and he's saying just this brazen stuff. He's not a very nice person. Nothing was going right. So I decided to run for Congress, and I had been registered a Democrat since I registered to vote at 18 years old. But as I got familiar and got to know the people in the Democratic Party, I won't say that they're the same, but they think the same way. I found out very quickly that I don't like the Democratic Party any more than I like the Republican Party. So it took me about 6 months to figure that out, 7 months to figure out that they don't really care about me or you. They care about themselves and how they can benefit themselves. At least the people, not the individuals in the party, but the people who run in the party locally and even nationally. So for me, that was eye-opening, and I got out as quick as I could, and I will never, ever, ever have anything to do with politics again. And I'm now registered as an independent voter, so
yeah. Next question. What lesson did that teach you?
I think we covered that. Yeah, right there. It taught me that there's a few handful of people that just want to take from everyone else. And I think that us as a body, as the people that are voting, we need to really look at the motives before we vote. It taught me that, because the people that I thought had my interest and had our interest and how they didn't. It was about pushing their agenda and who their donors were. So I ran on a campaign during that we wouldn't take money from any corporate interest groups at all. We were the first ones that I know of. Michael Bill would be able to speak to that. We were the first one I know of that wouldn't take money. We were offered money and we didn't take it. And the Democratic Party were mad because people were offering us money. No one had ever offered candidates money in Rutherford County, and they're mad. Instead of supporting it and seeing the momentum we were making, they were angry about us not taking money and supporting other candidates. Well, the other candidates were trying to take corporate money. We were not. So I learned the lesson. It's about money more than anything, I think.
Right. I heard you were in a movie.
Oh, yes.
You know? Arsonland. What was your role in that movie? And how was that experience?
So that was actually a really cool experience. I was working out at the gym one day, and a guy come up to me that I knew, and he's like, "Do you want to be an extra in a movie?" And I was like, I don't think so. And he's like, "No, it's going to be a cop. You'll be a cop. It's just going to be standing in the background, doing a couple checkpoints, you look like a cop, right?" So I was like, all right, fine. So I went down. David Durr's he's a director, Academy Award nominated director, and got to meet him. Great person. Got to meet his wife. Great. It was just a cool experience. And it was neat. I got a chance to, got a couple speaking roles, and I heard it's up for one of the festivals, and after that they're going to release the movie. So it was pretty neat.
That's great.
Great
That's
experience.
Awesome. I know you have a book coming out soon.
I do.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so it's I've always wanted to write a book. I had a bucket list, and writing a novel was on that bucket list. And I've started 3 or 4 times and stopped and just lost interest in it, or kind of lost my thought process, right? Well, what really inspired me was when Helene hit, and we had, everything was crazy. I mean, we went 13 days without power where I live. Some people were way worse than that. Yeah. I think we still got some regions that are still without power, right? But I was watching, and here we are all day cutting trees, trying to get out of the driveway. We're having to boil water, the whole 9 yards. And then my wife and my little girl are taking off and going to volunteer at a shelter and volunteer at the food distribution stuff in the afternoons. And it just inspired me. So I wanted to write something with a strong female character. And I think a lot of times you don't have strong female leads. So I was writing more thinking about them and my little girl. And so I wrote a fantasy novel with a strong female character was the objective there.
That's awesome.
The name of the book is The Traveler's Wake, and it's the whole series is called The Ballad of Daisy Davis, and it's basically going to focus on a local Rutherford County girl who gets in over her head. So that's pretty much the whole idea behind the book. Yeah.
Now, when's that come out?
So we're tentatively shooting for the first week of December.
All right.
Final edits start in about 35 days. So as long as we can get through the edit process quick enough, then we're shooting for before Christmas. Yeah.
Any plans for distribution? How's that going to be distributed?
Okay, so I have talked to a publisher. What we're going to do is we're probably going to distribute on a few local bookstores, but primarily on Kindle and on Amazon and Books By is where it's primarily going to be available. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's all I've got for you, Mr. Kenneth Queen. It's good talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having this interview with me. It's been great, and you're a very interesting guy, very great guy.
Thank you so much.
I'm very, very happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.